This video is for Jens, who sent me a very interesting message, and I wanted to respond to it. Jens, you sent me a two-part message, and I'll talk about the second part and then the first part. In the second part, where you basically reiterated what you thought was the meaning of my statement, without faith there is no God. And I just wanted to tell you, I think you nailed it right on the head. I think you know exactly what I was trying to say there. It's interesting. I've received so many messages from people, and as I'm going to upload a video in just a while, either before or just after this one, called "The Message Sent is Never the Message Received." And that one statement, without faith there is no God, and the responses that I'm getting from people really, truly is illustrating the truth in that principle. But I think for the most part, you got it. And the second part of the question, the second statement that you had for me, was a question, really, about what I meant. Well, it sounded like it was a question about what I meant by in saying versions of atheism. And I think I can explain what I meant. When I said versions of atheism, I'm really talking about degree of disbelief. Oh, that's an interesting. It rolls off the tongue in a curious way. Degrees of disbelief. It's curious because theism, belief, God thought, so to speak, doesn't seem to have those degrees. You either believe or you don't. You're in or you're out. But atheism seems to have degrees, and we can see that those degrees illustrated in two words: agnostic and atheist. We don't seem to have those analogous terms on the theist side. There's theists or atheists. So I guess that's the three. There's theist, agnostic, and atheist. So there's the three right there. But I think that those three basically don't cover the whole spectrum, especially when you go from agnostic to atheist, from that degree. And let me illustrate what I mean by that with an example. Let's go to not Galileo, Newton, Isaac Newton, and gravity. Okay. When Isaac Newton, whether or not he actually sat on under an apple tree and an apple hit him on the head, I don't know if that was really true. But when he first had that idea about gravity, it wasn't a theory. He didn't come up with a theory of gravity. He came up with a hypothesis of gravity. And a hypothesis, as you may already know, as people watching this, anyone who may choose to watch this may already know, a hypothesis is basically a best guess. It's an educated guess based on observed phenomenon in nature. Newton watched an apple came down, hit him on the head, and he said, "Wait a minute, some force drew that apple down and hit me on the head. That force might be something that controls the nature of the universe, the way planets orbit and the like, and I'm going to call that gravity, and I'm going to give that out as a hypothesis." Now, from that point, the hypothesis needs to be, you need to verify the hypothesis, you need to go about testing it. And Newton went about all kinds of tests and invited his friends, and generations have since tested it and found it to be true, and at which point it became a theory. And a theory is basically a relatively confirmed hypothesis, a hypothesis with lots of evidence to show that it's true. And now, theories are not necessarily 100%. And we can go on from that and find that theories can be in error, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're completely thrown out at that point. For example, gravity for centuries did a great job of explaining how the universe worked, until we were able to begin to examine the universe in enough finite detail, down to in super small, to discover that at the super small level, things don't seem to work the way Newton described things, the way the theory of gravity described things. Things were working a little bit weird, and then it took a man like Albert Einstein and his contemporaries and the introduction of quantum physics to basically begin to outline new hypotheses that led to new theories, special and general relativity and their kin, that began to explain things further. Now, special and general relativity build upon gravity. They explain the world of the super small and the super giant. I think they do mostly the super small. They explain that more accurately than gravity does alone. It doesn't mean gravity is wrong. Gravity simply explained a certain aspect of the universe. So both theories are used, although probably the succession into special and general relativity is a more accurate view of the universe. Now you see, it may sound like I've completely gone off topic, going from atheism and agnosticism and theism into the discussion of gravity and special relativity, but I'm trying to make a point here. Let me see if I can do this now, if I can pull this off. Okay. Being agnostic, so hypothesis and theory. Best guess, results showing something is probably true. That's the theory. Agnostics are, in my mind, in the hypothesis state. They are hypothesizing, I don't know if that's a word, they are hypothesizing that God does not exist. They are guessing that God does not exist. They're not really sure. They're thinking, well, I don't see any evidence for God. I'm pretty sure God doesn't exist. That's an agnostic. They're not won over. They're not completely making a strong statement about it. It's a matter of degree and strength. Atheists, on the other hand, they hold a position that's similar to that of a theory. They've gone from the stage of a hypothesis that God does not exist, and they've moved on to a theory that God does not exist. And now a theory, of course, then is not necessarily 100%. No good scientist would claim 100% certainty with a theory. They always remain open to the possibility that it can be discredited, and a really good scientist will invite speculation and invite criticism in order to ferret out any errors in their theory. And that is where I, as an atheist, stand. I am not a 100% atheist. I am an atheist who went from the stage in my early life of being an agnostic to, at 47 years old, with no evidence of God's existence, I'm pretty sure that God does not exist. And that's how I became an atheist. But I have a special version of that. Now, this explains the version, right? The version, to me, my statement saying versions of atheism relates to the degree of atheism. Whether you've gone from just over the borderline to thinking God doesn't exist, or you're really strong on the other side, you're really leaning over to that side like I am. Like, I'm pretty dang sure. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to the end of my days that there is no God. It's a near certainty in my mind. That's what I meant by version, degree. Degree of disbelief is type or version of atheism. Now, I've qualified that in a certain way by phrasing my atheism, couching my atheism in a statement which is, and a lot of people, I've been getting lots of emails from this, and so far nobody has quoted me, has quoted this statement back to me the way I'm saying it. I did write it in a title once. The statement that I made is, without faith, God does not exist. And I'm in danger of repeating myself again, and I apologize for that. Without faith, God does not exist. Now, the reason I'm saying it again is no one has yet quoted it back to me the same way that I say it. And if you change the way that I say that, it changes the meaning. And that leads people to having different interpretations of what I'm saying here. And so I can understand why it's misleading. All the way back to the message sent is never the message received. But that is my version of atheism. Without faith, God does not exist. And you were just on spot, Jens, when you indicated to me that what that basically means is that God is a construct within our minds of those who choose to believe, and that those who choose to not believe, who do not have faith, God does not exist in that universe. Thanks for listening again. Sorry for more controversy. I didn't mean for it to go all this way. In more than a week now, I know I'm making a lot of people unhappy and a lot of people uncomfortable, but as Emily said, told me on the bench, go serious. So I'm going serious. Take care, everybody. I got some more packing to do. Bye-bye. And thank you, Jens, for your interesting and wonderful email. I enjoyed reading it. You're great. Your English is phenomenal.